born in South Sudan, and the life was beautiful. It was a simple life where we can just play in the outside. It was free. There was no like people afraid for kids to go on the street or anything like that. I live with my family, so it was like a happy life, and it was beautiful. It was safe and it was secure.
Yeah, my name is Emmanwella. I am a first generation refugee migrant in Australia. I am a friend, a sister, a daughter, and a mother. I'm also a refugee advocate, and I am a small business owner.
And how about yourself, Grace?
Yeah, so I was born in Melbourne, Australia. I would say I had a really good childhood. I have a lot of like my favorite memories are obviously with my family, and also just primary school. I feel like I was around a lot of really, really good people and a lot of people that were really willing to help and just be like very nurturing people. Yes, I would say I really enjoyed my childhood. I have a lot of. I feel like I can't even choose the memories, just even like with neighbors and friends and yeah, the community as well, because I do remember also going to a lot of like community events as well, which was good because, I feel like I have a different experience compared to my family because I didn't really grow up in South Sudan or like around, South Sudanese as much. So like, I feel like I really did value those experiences where I could actually, be around like my people. So yeah, that was really nice. So
I want to ask you, as the adult, really, what happened, sort of, that meant you had to leave where you were, where you were born.
We had to leave because of war in South Sudan, and it became with Sudan, like in Sudan. So when the war started, I was young in South Sudan, and we had to move to the northern Sudan, and we lived there, and it became like it went for a long time, like 20 years, and now it started to escalate. And that time I had two children, so we had to move because it wasn't safe for us to live there anymore, and I don't want my kids to grow in the war that I lived in when I was young.
What happened after you left Sudan, and how did you get from Sudan to Australia? If you can talk us through those steps.
We left to Egypt in 2000, and we stayed there for 4 years. And because we went to like for a visa to stay in Egypt, but that visa expired, so we were not allowed to stay in Egypt. Like we couldn't, so we had to find somewhere to go and live. So we applied for US, and we got rejected. We were given a form to go to Canada, but I didn't want to fill the form to go to Canada because I don't like to live in a cold weather. I said I will not survive there. So I just waited, and it ended up we got a form from Australia, and we fill in that form, and we were accepted.
What was it like when you first arrived in Australia? I want to ask you first, Emmanwella. What do you remember about arriving in Australia?
Oh, I would say it was really very different and very interesting, very exciting, but then also very nerve-wracking because me and my brother, we didn't speak any English. We just knew yes and no.
What do you remember helped you in those early days? What were the things that you think most fondly about when you first arrived?
People in Australia, they were very friendly and welcoming, and yeah, they interested in other people, cultures that come. Yeah, so I remember this one guy from our church. His name is David, and his wife Nancy. After church, he will take us and my children to her house to go and have lunch there, and she bring out old toys for my kids to play. So that was actually very welcoming and very beautiful. Like people are actually willing to help and see we are all right, and yeah, and we're settling well to Australia. So that was beautiful.
What about the harder things then? What were some of the obstacles or the biggest challenges you faced when you first came to Australia?
I would not say like I met so many challenges, but the most challenging thing is not having a family, like and also living in an area when you don't know your neighbors, because back home, like we are very connected community. You know your neighbors, like the whole like suburb. You can know most people there, and anytime you can rock into your neighbor's house for a chat, which is within yeah. So that was one of the challenging, and you don't know who your neighbor is.
What was something interesting or strange about life in Australia compared to where you'd been in Egypt before?
Maybe it's just the cultural element of it. I remember when we first came here, kissing in public or showing affection in public was very controversial in our community. And I remember just the parents talking about it and just being like, oh my goodness, these people are kissing in public. That was very strange and very controversial. So and I don't remember ever seeing that before moving here to Australia. But I think that was, just maybe the first thing that just came to mind now that I just remembered. But I'm sure there's other things, but that's just the first thing that came to mind just right now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like actually raising kids in two different cultures. That was a bit challenging for me, because the coat of dress what girls would wear, especially when they're teenagers. I think Emmanwella had a tough time with me. Like it was one of the struggle, and going out with friends. Back home, it's easy if you let your kids go out or your daughter go out with her friend because you know the family, you know them, you know the friends. But my kid would turn up here. I'm going out with my friend. Who's your friend? This one, I don't know her. So it was a big challenging for us. Yeah, because you want them to have fun with their friends, but at the same time, you want them to be safe. So that was a bit challenging.
How about you, Grace? Growing up, you were born in Australia. What was it like growing up, knowing your family's migration experience?
Yeah, it was kind of interesting because it's like growing up, I feel like everyone did make me feel very comfortable. Like I didn't ever feel like different compared to everyone else. But I think, when you get older, like a bit older and you start kind of thinking and noticing things, I think when I was like maybe 6 or 7, like I'd have a few encounters at primary school where like teachers would have to like, tell other kids like, oh no, don't say that around her, or you can't say that and stuff. And I think that's when I started noticing like, wait, like, oh, there is a bit of a different, thing, or like, so I think that was kind of a bit hard to kind of navigate. I feel like I did feel connected to my culture and my roots. I didn't feel like I was fully, like I didn't feel like disconnected from my culture. I think it was just hard to kind of learn to kind of manage both identities like in the same place, because like some things you couldn't really explain to people at school, and then some things it's like, oh, is there a point telling my family because they're just going to get annoyed at me telling them this, or so I think it was hard, but I think you kind of get used to it.
So I'm going to ask you each, what has your life been like in Australia? What fills your days? What do you do now?
Yeah, life in Australia has been great so far. Like everything's just been falling into place slowly but surely. I have now completed my Bachelor of International Relations degree. I'm now considering doing my master's in the very near future, maybe in these next couple of months. I'm not sure yet. I haven't decided completely because I never actually expected to do further studies after completing my bachelor's degree, but now more recently I've just heavily been considering that. Aside from that, I've also been working as a support worker. I also worked as a refugee advocate a couple of years back, and now I'm looking to step back into that field. So that's what I'm currently working towards. I recently just came back from a trip from South Sudan.
Yeah, so I'm studying and I'm working. I spend time with my friends and my family and my cousins. That's kind of what I'm up to.
What do you think the South Sudanese who've come to Australia, how are they connected to South Sudan right now, and what does that mean for South Sudan?
Yeah, someone does go back quite frequently. I would say that in more recent years, there has been like a larger number of South Sudanese migrants moving back to South Sudan, or Africa per se, especially after this whole like controversy around the youth violence or the gang violence that was previously portrayed in the media. A lot of families have, I would say, become more worried that their children would fall into like, I would say, the way of crime, or some people are worried that their kids might be targeted, or yeah, there's different reasons as to why people feel the need more recently to take their kids back to Africa, because there is, I would say, quite a bit of a disconnect with more, like, I would say, the recent generation that has migrated to Australia. I don't think they're very, I'm not sure if there's like a strong connection with back home.
2023, I decided to take my kids, all of them, all the family, to go to South Sudan because we still have family there. And I want them to see the culture and meet the people and have an idea, especially Grace and her other siblings that were born in Australia, they have no idea. And yeah, going to South Sudan was something beautiful, and I think they like it and they enjoy it, to see actually like people there meeting grandmas and all the relatives and learning some language. Like we speak here, I speak to them here, but it's just only me that speak and Emmanwella. But actually, no English for like 1 month. People are speaking Dinka. So that was good, learning some songs and dance.
I'm going to ask each of you, but let's start with you, Grace. When you look back on your life so far, what are you most proud of?
I guess I'm proud of, I feel like I've done a lot with what I've had and like what I've been given and my opportunities. I do think I've used them to the best I could have. I think even with like employment, like I think I've tried making the best out of my experiences. With school, I do think I was pretty engaged. Like I did want to learn and I did want to, make connections with people. I think with what I've been given and this, I've kind of only had 2 years out of school as well, just kind of to, figure out what I wanted to do. So I think, I think I've made the most of what I've had. So, and even like my family, I think I'm proud of how they've kind of helped me, like just navigate things and situations, and just kind of like persevere through experiences.
I'm very proud where I am now. For someone that went through the war and went through different cultures, different languages, and to be here now, I think I'm very proud of myself.
Emmanwella, what are you most proud of when you look back on your life so far?
I would say I'm most proud of my resilience. I've recently learned that I am a very resilient person, which I did not know before. So I would say that. And I think I would have, maybe one of the main reasons to that would be because of, the opportunities that I've been given.
Australia has received 1 million refugees since 1947. How do you feel being part of this story?
That's great. I want Australia to keep doing that, to keep bringing people, because it's not just one person that is coming here. You're actually changing people's lives. Like my children's life would be different if I'm still living in the war. And I help my kids, I help my family back home. And
I agree. Like I think it's honestly really great because I think, sometimes I think people that do come here, they do make such a difference because again, they have all the resources that other people aren't really provided with. So it's like, then they can go back and make a difference and go back to their country and give back what's been given to them, or trying to give everyone an even playing field. Because I even think after going to South Sudan and just meeting my family and really, when you can connect with the people, with your people, it's really important. And I think that's when people feel very inspired to go back and use their resources and opportunities to go back and build their countries. Because I think I've had a lot of conversations with my cousins and just family members and friends where it's everyone does have the end goal of going back and just helping their community. So I think it is really great to, you know, to bring people here, because sometimes it is sad that that our countries don't really have, not like they do have a lot of things that they can provide, and they definitely will get to that point. But I think having refugees go back does really help build the country and help everyone work together to better the world, in a sense, like on a larger scale. So yeah, I think it's good because it kind of shows how every person does make a difference.
Yeah, I would say it's the same thing as both my mother and Grace said. It's definitely the domino effect. Having 1 million refugees in Australia, that impacts a greater number than just only a million. A million's lives have been changed, but then also a million other lives are also changed as well in a different or indirect way. Also almost losing hope kind of thing, because there is no employment opportunities, I would say, back home, and there's no means of living. So they do heavily rely. Some families are the only family members that are outside of Africa, and they have to help a greater number of their families. And this is not just only maybe the African community, but other refugees and migrants that are fortunate to come into other countries like Australia.
My last question is, what is the South Sudanese community? Many came in the early 2000s. How has South Sudanese community changed Australia?
I think we brought our culture, like how we are very social people. We like to live in a group, like and connected to each other, and things. Yes, brought a culture.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I think they've also brought a lot of talent because I feel like South Sudan, like I feel like we are very talented people. I think it's just a lot of the times it's just access to, you know, opportunities. So I think even now that there's a lot of South Sudanese in Australia, it's really good because now there's a lot of opportunities so they can kind of express that. So I guess you can even see that like now in the sporting industry and like, you know, music, even like the legal sector and everything, like there is a lot of South Sudanese actually doing a lot. So I think it's really good because I think the media does kind of focus a lot on like, you know, the terrible, like, you know, sides of the community that are clearly just like, like the bad parts of the community. But I think there's a lot more people doing good.
Okay, well, like my mom said, culture, my sister said talent, I would say perspective. I think South Sudanese have given Australians a different perspective and a different outlook, you know, maybe like Australians seeing people coming from refugee migrant backgrounds. I think maybe it's given Australia a different outlook on life, or how to see or receive other cultures, people from different, I would say environments and upbringings. So yeah, I think we brought a different perspectives into the Australian community.